You've heard it a million times since childhood. Debt-free is a carefree life. When you take out a mortgage to buy an apartment, everyone around you insists you should pay it down early with any extra cash, saving hundreds of thousands, even millions, in interest and breaking free sooner. Bank financial advisors will earnestly tell you prepaying your mortgage is the safest, risk-free investment you can make. But today I'm going to shatter your worldview with a brutal truth banks will never reveal. In this era of reckless money printing, prepaying your mortgage is the single dumbest financial decision ordinary people can make. What banks fear most isn't you defaulting. It's you being too obedient, too eager to pay off debt, and too terrified of owing money. Smart people don't prepay their mortgages, they stick to the payment schedule until the very last day. A long-term low-interest mortgage isn't a liability. It's the only free weapon ordinary people get to fight inflation. The biggest win you'll ever score against the bank. You think you owe the bank money. The truth is, the bank owes you. You think you're working for the bank. In reality, future society is paying for your home purchase today. Let's start with the inflation pain every person in Taiwan feels deeply. Over the past 5 years, you've clearly watched your money lose value. An egg went from 3 NTD to 6 NTD. A basic bento from 50 NTD to 80 NTD, a bubble tea from 25 NTD to 50 NTD. Rent in Taipei rises 35% every year, and even street parking fees have jumped multiple times. What about your salary? Taiwan's average monthly wage rose less than 10% over 5 years. Nowhere near keeping up with prices. Most people slave away to save money, thinking bank deposits are safe, but savings accounts pay just 0.1% interest. Time deposits around 1%. Real inflation is far above the official 2%. It's at least 5%. If you put 1 million NTD in the bank, you'll have 1.01 million NTD nominally in a year. But its actual purchasing power drops to 960,000 NTD. You lost 40,000 NTD for doing nothing. That's the cruel reality of the money printing era. Holding cash is losing money. The central bank's printing press quietly erodes your wealth every single day. And most people have no idea, watching their hard-earned cash turn into worthless paper. Now let's break down the core logic of inflation erasing debt, something banks will never tell you. It's simple enough for one sentence. The amount of debt is fixed forever, but the purchasing power of currency only falls. The longer you wait, the less real value your debt has, and the less you truly owe the bank. Let's use a clear example. You borrow 1 million NTD from the bank at 2% annual interest to be repaid over 30 years with equal monthly installments. Your fixed payment is roughly 3696 NTD per month. Today, that's 2 days of your salary, enough for 3 bentos and a bubble tea, a meaningful expense. What will 3696 NTD be worth in 30 years? At a mild 5% annual inflation rate, currency halves in value every 14 years. 1 NTD in 30 years will be worth just 0.23 NTD today. That 3696 NTD payment will only have the purchasing power of approximately 150 NTD today, barely enough for 1 bento. Yet, you still pay exactly 3696 NTD, no more. You borrow 1 million valuable NTD today to buy a valuable home. You pay the bank back with paper money diluted to near worthlessness in 30 years. This isn't you paying interest to the bank. It's the bank subsidizing you for 30 full years. Let's use a real Taiwan example that will resonate with older readers. Back in 2004, the average Taipei home price was 150,000 NTD per ping. A 30-ping 2-bedroom apartment cost 4.5 million NTD. Many young people put down 1.5 million NTD, borrowed 3 million NTD over 30 years at 3% annual interest, for a monthly payment of approximately 12,650 NTD in 2004. 12,650 NTD was nearly half the average monthly salary of 28,000 NTD. People felt crushed, cut every expense, and threw every extra dollar at early mortgage repayment to feel free. 20 years later, what's 12,650 NTD worth? Taiwan's average wage now tops 50,000 NTD. 12,650 NTD is just a quarter of a monthly salary, less than 1 month's rent in Taipei. That same 30-ping apartment is now worth over 18 million NTD, 4 times higher. People who refuse to prepay now pay a monthly mortgage that's barely pocket change while owning a nearly 20 million NTD asset. Those who scramble to pay early have no mortgage stress, but miss the massive home price surge and the chance to invest their extra cash. Their wealth gap is now night and day. That's the magic of inflation. It quietly turns heavy debt into nothing, and your assets into mountains of wealth. Now you see why banks panic when you don't prepay. A long-term low-interest mortgage isn't a profitable asset for banks. It's a losing hot potato. Most people think banks profit from mortgage interest, but in an inflationary era, mortgage rates are far below real inflation. Banks lose money year after year. For example, Taiwan's average mortgage rate is 1.8%, while real inflation is at least 5%. Lend you 1 million NTD, and the bank nominally earns 18,000 NTD in interest. But the 1 million NTD loses 50,000 NTD of value to inflation. The bank loses 32,000 NTD per year. The longer you owe, the more the bank loses. That's why banks push every trick to pressure you into prepaying, swapping your losing asset for them for depreciating cash. They'll tell you prepaying saves hundreds of thousands in interest, but never mention those savings are wiped out by inflation and far less than you could earn by investing that cash. They'll offer perks, waived early repayment penalties, lower rates for refinancing. It's all to take your low-rate mortgage away. Banks don't care about you, they care about their profits. In this game, you and the bank are opponents. I get it. Owing the bank money feels unsettling. Waking up knowing you're millions in debt stresses you out, so you want to pay early for peace of mind. That's a thousands-year-old traditional mindset. But in this money printing era, it's outdated and ruinous. Understand this, the nature of debt has completely changed in the fiat currency era. In the past, money was gold and silver, real value. Owing money meant owing tangible wealth, so you paid it back fast. Today, money is just paper. Numbers the central bank can print any time with no physical backing. The money you owe the bank is just a set of digits whose value falls non-stop as more money is printed. You trade your valuable hard-earned cash today to pay off worthless digits in the future. Is that not the dumbest deal on earth? More importantly, a mortgage is the only loan ordinary people will ever get with the largest amount, longest term, and lowest interest. Prepay it, and you'll never get that deal again. Any future loan, personal car, business, will have far higher rates and shorter terms, useless for fighting inflation. You're not just paying off debt, you're throwing away your only chance to profit from the bank, your only weapon against inflation. Let's talk about the core of the money printing era, the foundation of all wealth logic. After the Bretton Woods system collapsed in 1971, global currencies abandoned the gold standard and became pure fiat money. Central banks can print as much as they want, with zero limits. Governments print recklessly to stimulate growth, handle crises, and pay national debt. It's an irreversible trend, and no country is immune, including Taiwan. Over 50 years, Taiwan's M2 money supply has grown over 100 times. 1 NTD 50 years ago is worth less than 0.01 NTD today. Over the past decade, M2 rose over 60%. 100 NTD a decade ago is worth less than 40 NTD now. This trend will only accelerate. As long as central banks print money, inflation persists, and cash keeps losing value. In this era, holding cash equals losing money. Holding debt equals making money. Debt is fixed, while asset prices rise with inflation. The best asset ordinary people can own is real estate. The best liability is a mortgage. Home prices rise with inflation. Mortgages shrink with inflation. And your wealth explodes in between. Let's use a head-to-head comparison to show the gap between prepaying and not prepaying. Imagine two young Taiwanese people, same age and income, Ming and Hua. In 2020, both buy a 10 million NTD apartment in Taipei. Put down 3 million NTD, borrow 7 million NTD, over 30 years at 1.8% annual interest, for approximately 25,300 NTD monthly payment. Ming believes debt-free is best and puts 500,000 NTD toward early mortgage repayment every year. Hua never prepays and invests 500,000 NTD annually in Taiwan's TAIEX index funds. Let's calculate their net worth in 2030. After 10 years, Ming prepaid 5 million NTD, remaining loan tilde 2 million NTD, home value 3% annual growth equals tilde 13.44 million NTD. Net worth equals 13.44 M. Fei 2M equals 11.44 million NTD. Hua remaining loan tilde 5.5 million NTD, invested 500k a year at 7% annual return equals tilde 7.39 million NTD net worth equals 13.44 M, Fei 5.5 M plus 7.39 M equals 15.33 million NTD. In just 10 years, Hua is nearly 4 million NTD richer. And that's before accounting for inflation. In 30 years, the gap will be unimaginable. Ming owns a paid-off home. Hua owns a home plus tens of millions in fund assets, already financially free. That's the difference between mindset and the gap between the poor and the rich. Many argue, 30 years of mortgage interest costs more than the principal. It's a ripoff. For a 7 million NTD loan, total interest is tilde 4.1 million NTD. For a total repayment of 11.1 million NTD. That looks huge, but that 4.1 million NTD is future money, not today's. At 5% annual inflation, 4.1 million NTD in 30 years is worth just approximately 940,000 NTD today. You borrow 7 million valuable NTD now, keep it for 30 years, and pay the equivalent of just 940,000 NTD in real interest. Is that not the best deal on earth? You buy a home today that could be worth tens of millions in 30 years, while repaying the equivalent of less than 2 million NTD in today's money. Do the math, you're winning big. Others ask, what if I lose my job and can't pay? The answer is, don't prepay. If you empty all your cash to prepay, you'll be forced to sell your home at a loss if you lose income. If you keep cash and emergency funds, you can keep making payments until you find a new job, no fire sale needed. And housing is a hard asset in an inflationary era. Prices only rise, you'll never struggle to sell. But be clear, stick to the schedule does not mean missing payments, ruining your credit, or ending up on a blacklist. It means following your loan contract, exactly pay on time. Never pay extra, never pay early. Hold the debt until the final day. In the meantime, put all extra cash into assets that beat inflation. Core city real estate, broad-based index funds, gold, etc. There's only one scenario to consider prepaying if your mortgage rate is above 5% and you have no investment options that beat that rate. But in Taiwan, mortgage rates are at historic lows. Most people pay under 2%. Prepaying here is a guaranteed loss. Friends in Taiwan, we live in an unprecedented era. Central banks print money non-stop. And inflation is everywhere. The old debt-free is a carefree life mindset is dead. It only makes you poorer, letting inflation eat your wealth. A long-term, low-interest mortgage is the only bonus ordinary people get, the only weapon against inflation. Banks are terrified. You'll figure this out and keep your debt. That's why they manipulate and scare you into paying early. Don't fall for it. Don't give your hard-earned money to the bank for free. Lock in your low-rate mortgage, pay on time. Never prepay, keep your cash and invest in inflation. Beating assets, let inflation erase your debt. Let future society pay for your choices today. Once you see through the mortgage myth and inflation's true nature, you'll realize ordinary people can use the bank's rules to build wealth fast. Holding your low-rate debt to maturity is the smartest financial strategy of this era. Don't let the bank steal your future. Don't let inflation eat your wealth. Change your mindset today. Stop prepaying your mortgage. Make the bank work for you. Let time be your friend. Let inflation accelerate your wealth. Only then can you protect your wealth, climb the social ladder, and win at life in this wild money printing era.